Thank you for joining us. This is Quincy Access Television's At the Polls. Clearly, we are not at the polls today, but we will get poll insight with Quincy City Clerk Nicole Crispo. Nicole, as always, welcome.
How are you today?
Great. How about yourself?
A little busy, but good.
We'll talk about that. Talk about what has happened today so far. We should mention to folks that we are recording this at about midday. So talk about the activity at the polls. It's an absolutely gorgeous day to get out there and vote. Talk about that, but also talk about early voting and how that would impact likely today, and of course the mail-in voting as well.
Sure. So we are having a great day today in our city. All of our 31 precincts are open, and we encourage people to go out and vote who haven't voted already. There were so many opportunities here with the mail-in vote, the early vote, absentee vote, and again, in person to vote. So I think people have taken advantage of all of the opportunities, and whatever people feel most comfortable with during this pandemic, then, you know, I encourage them to use that avenue. We are seeing good numbers at our polls. I thought it was going, you know, I did go out and say a little over 30%, 30 to 35% for a turnout. And I think that we'll be right on, if not a little, you know, on the high side. People are turning out to vote at the polls. We are using all the proper precautions there. So if anyone has any questions, they can certainly go to our website and see that what we're doing. But we have PPE and sanitation stations, and we are using wands to clean the pens, 99% UV light to clean the pens. And so I think that people are encouraged, and our numbers are gone down in the city of Quincy, and we are in the green. And I think that everybody is using, you know, the CDC guidelines and Health Commissioner Jones's recommendations.
And of course, the reason why QATV isn't at the polls today was basically to make sure that voters first obviously get to the polls and are able to vote, because there is a limit, there is a capacity number that I would assume you would have to stick by.
Yes, and you know, to be honest with you, with the big turnout in the mail-in vote, I did not anticipate lines at the polling place today. I didn't see it. Have they had, you know, times that there's been a few people in there? Yes. The poll workers are doing a great job asking people to stand 6 feet away between each other. And it's been going fine. Complaints.
No, I just missed a little bit about what you just said. So it's been going fine. The audio just
yeah, and
for just a second.
The poll workers are doing a good job reminding people to stay 6 feet away from each other, keep a healthy distance, and we haven't had any complaints today.
And likely the precautions that took place here today, are taking place here today, will continue for the general election come November.
Yes, that's right. Yep, we will keep going this route, and same with the mail-in vote and the early vote. As a matter of fact, you should be, if you haven't already filled out your card for a mail-in ballot, you'll get another chance to do that. Secretary Galvin is going to put out another whole mailing of cards for those that didn't do both elections. And so, you know, you have that option. And then there'll be 2 weeks of early voting in October, and always the absentee for those who utilize that.
So if we could go over some deadlines for the upcoming general election, so folks that certainly would like to vote, and we do encourage everyone to vote, those that do give themselves that opportunity won't miss out. So what are some of the deadlines that folks need to be aware of?
The day for early voting starts, I believe it's October 17th, and that goes through October 30th. And as soon as there is just a little lull in between the September and the November due to printing of the ballots. We got to be mindful that they're going to print ballots, and as soon as we receive them, we'll get them out to those who have requested the ballot by mail. And so every date is on our website at quincyma.gov. There's a know before you go to the polls. There are deadline dates for registering to vote. There are changing parties, changing address, things like that. It's on our website, and it's also on the mass.gov website.
We should mention that QATV will be going live tonight at 8 p.m. Matter of fact, this piece will likely air within that program, but we will not be giving out results because results will take some time to tally, correct?
So we are tallying, we're processing, I should say. We're processing now. So we do have central tabulation. I felt that it was important to keep the ballots that people have voted early and sort them here, process them here, and all that data gets stored. And tonight at 8 p.m., when the data comes from the polling place, it gets joined with the data from early voting, and we should have those numbers tonight. And then we have to go through things like provisional ballots and overseas ballots. But just be clear, 8 p.m. tonight is the deadline for bringing your ballot to City Hall or going to the polls and voting.
Well said, because I think some people might have been under the impression that they could mail their ballots in by today. That's not the case. If you have a ballot in hand, that really needs to be brought to the polling place, City Hall, correct?
Not the polling place. If you do bring your ballot to the polling place, they can't accept it there. They can spoil it there and you can vote in person, but you can't just leave it there. We do have to process it here before it goes out to the polls. So we encourage you to use the drop-off box in front of City Hall, which we have been emptying hourly, and we'll process those here and get them out to the polling place to run right through the tabulators today.
Lastly, again, the procedure that will take place in November, as far as we know, as far as we can see, will be the same procedure that is taking place for the election today, correct?
That's right, yes. And if anybody has any questions, concerns, please feel free to reach out to myself or the election department at 617-376-1144, 43, and 42. We're here to help. If you could, there's calls coming in, so if you can be patient, we'll get to every one of them. Questions, concerns.
Unfortunately, we're not side by side at a polling location, but I do appreciate you joining me for the new norm, if you will.
Yes.
In interviews.
And I'd like to thank the staff at the poll workers that have come out today and that are taking every proper precaution to make sure that everyone that comes in to vote is safe, and they're doing a great job. And I wanted to go ahead and thank my staff here who have worked countless hours on processing all these ballots, and looking forward to November already.
Very good. We'll leave it at that. Nicole, again, thank you for your time. And we will touch base. I'm sure you will touch base with my colleague, Joe Catalano, a bit after the election day is through. So once again, you and I will touch base prior to the general election again in November 3rd. Thanks again, and stay well.
You too. Good to see you. Bye-bye.